Using Leah Milia's questions as starting points and prompts to examine the stories of Deborah Sampson and her contributions to the American Revolution stories we remember. To address Ulrich's question, how did Deborah Sampson become famous? Unlike Ulrich's story of Betsy Ross, Deborah Sampson became famous during her time, not by a later generation. While Deborah was not the only female veteran soldier in the Revolutionary War, she is the most commonly known. This is most likely due to her biographer, Herman Mann, whom Patrick Leonard has much contempt for, as he, from his first paragraph on Sampson, corrects her name to Samson, and I quote, her first biographer was a fast buck artist who, if alive today, would be valued right for the tabloids, spouting stories of flying saucers, end quote. The biography account Mann was referring to is called the Female Review Memoirs of an American Young Lady, published in 1797. Sampson's tabloid writer and finding an advocate in Paul Revere for veteran compensation can contribute to her becoming well known. Her life, in brief, is a tangled mess. One can deduce that she had a hard life. Enlisting on Monday, May 20th, 1782, in the 4th Massachusetts Regiment as Private Robert Shirtliff. According to Patrick Leonard, Deborah only mentioned one injury suffered in her Army days. It was a dislocated limb, and she gave no further details. This is in direct contradiction to Cokie Roberts' book, Founding Mothers, the Women Who Raised Our Nation, and I quote, in her 3 years service, Deborah, or Robert, was twice wounded but continued to volunteer for hazardous duty, end quote. Widely accepted stories of a saber injury to the forehead and musket balls to the thigh are a bit more memorable than a dislocated limb. Private Robert Shirtliff, Deborah, served 18 months in the Continental Army before she was honorably discharged in 1783. Again, more contradictions, as Leonard said she was married in 1783 versus Dr. Deborah Michaels, who reports their marriage in 1785. We are challenged to consider why the story of Betsy Ross has been so widely accepted, and does the story deserve to continue into the next century? Widely accepted because Betsy Ross is in the first standard for kindergarten in Virginia. While Deborah Sampson is not in the Virginia standard, she is still found in other states' curriculums, such as Florida. Deborah Sampson's information can be located on History for Kids website, which was developed by an Irish teenager, Studies Weekly, which is curriculum-based, and then you have Liberty Kids, historical fiction put into cartoons. Also, the 116th Congress amended Title 38, United States Code, to improve the benefits and services provided by the Department of Affairs to women veterans, and they gave it the short title, Deborah Sampson Act. In order to answer Leah Milia's question on how important was it to have a famous female from the American Revolution, I would say it's very important for us to have these stories of women, and maybe we should consider the response from Jan Lewis on Carl Beckler's question of, and I quote, how did it, the revolution, affect the half of the population that was female, end quote. Of course, I don't have data to back up that even population split, but bottom-up histography of ordinary people who didn't have the time or the means to devote to documenting their history doesn't mean it wasn't important and valuable. In our hopes to link students to previous events or empower them to see themselves in history and propel them to great things, we create narratives and stories.